Hi there everyone, and in this video I would like to show you a very interactive chess game. So in this chess game we have two great chess players in this one chess game. So with the white pieces we have the legendary Harry Nelson Pillsbury, and with the black pieces we have another legend, Wilhelm Steinitz, the first official world chess champion who is playing with the black pieces. So this chess game was played in the London chess tournament from 1899. And we all know the famous London chess tournament, the first ever chess tournament in London, and I think the first international chess tournament, which happened in 1851 in London. But this tournament happened in the beginning of the 20th century in 1899. So this was also one of the strongest chess tournaments in the 19th century of chess, and Emanuel Lesker dominated the tournament, and it is considered as one of the most dominating performances in that era, and Lesker finished the tournament at the first place. It was one of the many victories of Lesker in his colorful chess career. But anyway, so in this chess game we have Pillsbury and Steinitz. Now, you should know that Pillsbury was about 27 years old when this chess game happened, and Wilhelm Steinitz was 63 years old. So he was the aging former world chess champion. And a fun fact, when Wilhelm Steinitz won the world chess championship title in 1886, when he defeated Johannes Zukertort, I'm sure most of you already know this, but he was actually when he defeated Zukertort, at that time, Harry Nelson Pillsbury was only 14 years old. An interesting fact. So, okay, let's see what happened. So Steinitz was much older, but he was the experienced former world chess champion. Although Steinitz didn't do very well in this tournament, he did very bad. He finished the tournament at the 11th place, and for the first time in his chess career, Wilhelm Steinitz didn't win any prize for the first time in his chess career. So that's significant, very important. So this shows that Steinitz was in decline. Well, actually, unfortunately, not so much longer after this chess game. Wilhelm Steinitz unfortunately passed away at the age of 64. He was 64 years old. Only 1 year later, after this chess game, he died, unfortunately. And 64 is the number of the squares on a chessboard. And Bobby Fischer was also 64 years old when he died, only for the record. So, okay. So Pillsbury starts the game with e4, and we have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, and we have the Spanish game. And Steinitz played his own variation, and this is known as the old Steinitz variation of the Spanish game. Knight to c3, bishop to d7, and then d4. E takes on d4, knight takes on d4, and g6. So Steinitz wants to fianchetto his bishop. So exchanging the knights and damaging the pawn structure, and then bishop to c4, bishop to g7, and Pillsbury played queen to e2, so leaving the knight to be taken. But if bishop takes knight, okay, it is going to damage the pawn structure. But black might potentially suffer because of the weakness in the dark squares. And also it will give the bishop here to Pillsbury. So not capturing the knight and developing the knight. But Pillsbury was extremely aggressive. He pushed the h-pawn to h4 and h5, and so on is the idea. So Steinitz wants to stop that. He played h6, pushing the pawn. So he pushed the pawn. So the idea of h6 was to push g5, push the pawn to g5. But Pillsbury played f4, so threatening to take the pawn. And we have g takes on f4. Well, as you can see, Pillsbury is extremely aggressive against Steinitz, almost disrespectfully. Of course, pushing this pawn is not a good idea because it is going to weaken the light squares, and it will make this bishop much stronger piece. And how black is going to castle is going to be a difficult question to answer. So not pushing the pawn, capturing, but then developing the bishop very aggressively. So bishop to e6, exchanging the bishops, and then Pillsbury played e5. If capturing the pawn, it will weaken black's position even more. You can see the isolated pawns. So not capturing the pawn, of course, Steinitz castled. So also Pillsbury castled, and then d5, and rook over, queen over, and then knight to a4. So aiming this very beautiful parking spot for the knight. Knight to c5 is going to be a very beautiful spot for the knight. So we have rook over and then knight to c5 and basically attacking this pawn, and it is going to be very difficult if capturing this pawn for black. So defending like this, knight to f5, and then another very aggressive and a very active move by Harry Nelson Pillsbury. He pushed the pawn g4 and attacking the knight. And where is the knight going? Obviously not back, because if going back, then knight takes on e6. So we have queen to e7. Steinitz says the best defense is to attack. But if knight to h4, then maybe Steinitz didn't want this. Bishop to g3, this is just one possibility, by the way. So queen to e7, and after defending the knight, it looks like defending this knight is going to be tricky. Okay, queen is defending, but queen is like babysitting the knight. So this position doesn't look very good for black. But after g4, actually in this position, we have queen to e7, and this is actually losing for black on the spot, because Pillsbury simply captured the knight. G takes on f5, and this is winning for white. And after thinking hard, old former world chess champion Wilhelm Steinitz captured the pawn. He didn't like the idea of capturing the knight because of bishop to e3. And after, what else? Defending the queen, let's say exchanging the queens, and then f6, and white is dominating big time in this position. So black has to defend the bishop, and then boom, defending the rook, and then defending the b pawn, and black is falling apart. Black is falling into pieces, actually. So you can see that white is dominating. White is also a pawn up, so materially speaking, white is also better. So this favors for white. Okay, but in the real chess game, this is also losing a piece. So after rook takes on f5, not capturing the knight because of the variation that I demonstrated, we have knight to d3, and Steinitz is hoping for some counter-attack. So as you can see, white's king is wide open. So Steinitz, even at his old age, he was playing very exciting chess. But unfortunately, against Pillsbury, winning this is very difficult, actually. So white needs to make a blunder, a significant mistake. Only then black can exploit that and win, maybe. So we have queen to h4, and then rook to f2, lifting the rook up, and c5, and simply attacking the queen and kicking the queen back, and then rook to g2 by Harry Nelson Pillsbury. His idea is beautiful in this position, and Steinitz saw that, and he played king to h7. So what was the idea of Pillsbury? If pushing the pawn, you can see that this is attacking the defender of the bishop. Well, this was his idea, sacrificing the knight, capturing the pawn, the bishop is pinned. So after capturing the knight, rook takes on d3, and look at the position of white. The rook can join the attack, well, attacking the bishop, even if defending with the rook, doubling the rooks, and if necessary, white can even add the queen into the attack, and this is like Alekhine cannonball. So attacking the king, and actually black is losing a piece, and black is basically getting destroyed in this position. So this was the idea of Harry Nelson Pillsbury. But in this position, after rook to g2, of course, Steinitz is unpinning the bishop, and queen to g4. We have queen to f7, and then knight takes on c5. Now, leaving the bishop, and what was the idea of Pillsbury? Another beautiful move. But we have bishop takes on e5. So if capturing the bishop, then this was the idea. Checking the king, capturing the bishop with check. So queen takes on g7, rook takes on g7, and finally black is walking into this forking the king and the rook, and white is a piece up, and white is winning very easily. Okay. So this is why Pillsbury is leaving his bishop to be taken, because if rook takes, at the end of the day, the king is going to be on g7, and then knight takes on e6, forking the king and the rook on f4. Beautiful idea. But we have bishop takes on e5, and, well, Pillsbury is still a piece up. And we have queen to g6. And obviously, if moving the king up, then capturing the queen, rook takes queen, and then bishop takes bishop, and white is going to be two pieces up. So what else? Capturing, and then how would you recapture it? With the rook or with the pawn? Of course, with the pawn, because this is check. And then after moving the king, well, actually in this position, white is winning the exchange by force. Can you see how? So white is already a piece up, but now in this position, white is also winning the exchange. Pillsbury played bishop takes on e5. After, what else? Rook takes on e5, knight to d7, forking two rooks, and you can capture back. This is all over. And the old Wilhelm Steinitz, the former world chess champion and one of the greatest chess players of all times, Steinitz, resigned at this moment of the game. And this was actually a very sad game. So you can see that Steinitz was not the old Steinitz. And the possible continuation is very simple. Well, black is losing the exchange. Black is losing the rook, actually. So knight takes on e5, and in this position, white is a knight and the rook up. So this is all over. This is hopeless for black. So, okay, this was the game. And I hope you have enjoyed watching this chess game. And, okay, there's not much to say, I think. I hope to see you again with more interactive chess games. Stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.